everyone, welcome back to my channel. Eco Boost. I want to work on that theme tune. It's the end, guys. It's the end of the Live Lagom project that I've been doing with Ikea and the charity Hubbub. And to be honest, I've had a great time doing it. They say time flies when you're having fun, and it has actually gone really quickly. So I must have been having a whale of a time in my own little way. I've actually learned quite a lot, not just that Ikea is actually pronounced Ikea, but so much more. If you want a little reminder of the items that I chose from Ikea and how I've been getting along with the project, you can watch part 1 here and part 2 right here. But to recap, Ikea gave me up to £500 to spend in store on select items to help me live a more sustainable lifestyle. I decided not to spend the £500. I think I went to something like 140 and basically decided to choose items that I thought I was genuinely going to use. I may have gotten a little sidetracked with a couple of the items, but I'd say like 80% of them have actually been really good and have helped me live in a more sort of conscious and sustainable way. So the items that worked out really well were like the Aplaro bench. It's kind of given some height to the plant pots that are out there, and they are exposed to a bit more sunshine, and because of that I've actually been able to grow chard. I'm currently growing some red onions, but I don't think they'll be ready to harvest until the autumn, and a few other plants, etc. And it has kind of neatened up our balcony and made it look a lot tidier. And it is actually really interesting, the second you start bringing in some plants onto any space really, somehow things like little wood lice just kind of magically appear out of nowhere, which I found quite fascinating and actually quite adorable. So I think there is a small family of wood lice living underneath the red onion box. Just start charging them rent. And actually I have to say I've really enjoyed sort of growing things. I know it's really basic and I'm still very much learning, but I really like going out in the morning with my cup of coffee and just sort of investigating the plants, seeing how everything's growing. And I really like the smell of the soil. It's such a sort of relaxing smell and something that I probably don't get exposed to that much living in the heart of London. So it's a really nice way to start the day, and I think I do have a genuine passion for growing things, and I feel really proud of myself that I've actually managed to grow some sort of food and plants. The cork and jars were really good as well. I've been making a lot more kombucha in those, which I'm going to do a video on soon because I think it's something that's super easy to make, and I think I've had a few requests for it, I think. So the Aptitlic chopping board is quite difficult to pronounce, but an amazing addition. And I did say this in the previous Ikea video, like how much I love that chopping board. So I've been making bread almost weekly, although I'm kind of going into a bit of a lazy phase at the moment, and I actually need to make another sourdough starter because I let the other one kind of turn to cement at one point. I think I left it out a bit too long and didn't feed it. I'm really sorry. If only Ikea would ditch the plastic packaging that it comes in, it would be like a totally perfect product. It's made from bamboo and it's so big that it really opens up the space on our kitchen counter. We do have an absolutely ickle-wickle, teeny-weeny, itsy-bitsy kitchen, so it's kind of allowed me to just get a little bit more creative. So I've started making pasta from scratch, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, and actually felt a little bit overwhelmed about the idea of making pasta because it looks like it would be really hard. Folks, it isn't hard. And this is an egg-free pasta recipe that I've been using. So it's just Dove's Farm organic pasta flour and water, a pinch of salt and a drizzle of olive oil, and I mix it all up. I cut it with a knife on the Aptitlic chopping board and then just cook it for like 2 or 3 minutes. I really didn't need the spice jars. They were just a frivolous in the moment. Oh, I'd quite like those. They'd look pretty in my kitchen. And then 2 of the plastic lids broke, so... Oh, and the dreaded Hutton wine rack of doom. The item that I really don't know why I bought. I don't drink, we hardly have any wine in the house unless I'm cooking with it, and even then it's like 1 bottle that doesn't need a whole rack. It also came wrapped in plastic. Again, what was I thinking? So I took the opportunity to take it back to Ikea during one of the workshops that was being held for our group, and just to see if anybody there actually wanted it and could actually get some use out of it. And there was someone there who wanted it. A lovely girl who's actually one of the Ikea staff, I think, called Joanna. I think that's her name, I hope I've got that right. She was actually really keen to have it, so hooray, there's Joanna. with her new wine rack. But going back to the workshop really quickly, it was so nice to have quite a hands-on experience. We learned how to make terrariums, which are kind of succulents in a bit of soil and charcoal and gravel. I don't think I'm explaining this very well, but they look really nice. And I think it is just really good to have some plants around the home. It is really quite soothing, I think, especially when you live in a city and you probably don't get exposed to as much greenery as someone who lives in the countryside, funnily enough. So the grass lock bucket, which I used to plant organic lavender, is just lovely. It looks so nice. And it's kind of made our balcony look a little more presentable. And what else? Oh, and I did actually see a bee hovering around it the other day, so that is very exciting, and it seems to be working, so yay! And generally overall, the watering cans and plant pots that I chose have been really great, and they've certainly encouraged me to kind of grow a lot more. So to reflect, I think the project overall was great at kind of planting the seed and making everyone sort of think about how they could live a little more sustainably. It kind of had a knock-on effect in my everyday life. So as you may remember from the previous Ikea video I did, I got worms. Woohoo! And as I said before, they've really become part of my daily routine. I literally check them every day, several times a day, just to make sure that they're all good. So in the last update, they were kind of settling in and just getting used to their new bin, or home, shall we call it. And now they've really gotten to work and have basically turned a lot of our food scraps into compost. There has been one worm death. I have to report that now. I really don't think it was anything I did. I think it might have been old age. Or hey, it might have just been in a really deep sleep. I don't know. But as far as I know, there's just been one worm death. Rest in peace, little dude. Rest in peace. But on the plus side, there have been lots of little baby worms that just sort of sprung out of nowhere. And there are still some little, I think they're worm eggs. I don't really know what you call them. Worm eggs? Must be. They have just appeared as well. So there are more on the way. I'm just really chuffed because before I started this project, I thought about getting a worm bin and then could only think of excuses to not do it. So I was like, oh my gosh, it'll smell, we'll have so much compost, I won't know what to do with it, I might kill them. Which was actually a little lesson really, just don't think of all the reasons not to do something, just give it a go with the flow, and probably more often than not, I'll kind of work it out. I think also the Live Lagom project is a great example of habit formation and how once you make just a few small changes here and there, once they become part of your everyday routine or lifestyle, they don't feel like a chore or it doesn't feel like it's hard work. If there's one thing IKEA could do differently, I would say things like plastic packaging and plastic components. I don't know if you remember, but in the Aplaro bench, it came with little plastic sort of screw things that just didn't fit the holes, and then I was like, well, what do I do with these little screw things? And I don't think they were recyclable. So I would actually really love to see them kind of phase out plastic. Things like the Aptic chopping board really don't need a single-use disposable thin film of plastic over them, and that's why I chose the X-Display model, even though it still had stickers on it, like I had to pick those off, but it was still better than the entire piece of plastic. So I think that would be great. Also, like their light bulbs, some of them do come in a plastic packaging and some of them come in cardboard, and you just think, well, if you can definitely do one type in cardboard, I'm sure you could do the rest in cardboard. So I think there is definitely room for improvement when it comes to the packaging at IKEA, but I know that they are taking some steps. I've read that, I think this is right anyway, I think this is right, that they're going to replace any sort of polystyrene packaging with a material that's made from mushrooms that basically biodegrades. And finally, I would like to say that our trash, I think, has definitely reduced, even more so compared to what it was when I started this project. And I think the worm bin has definitely really helped take away some of the compostable food waste. There is still some stuff that I can't put in the worm bin, so that just goes into the trash, but even most of that is like a biodegradable organic matter. Unless it's like a tiny bit of plastic wrapping or something, we really do have hardly anything to send to the landfill, so I'm really pleased with that, and it's something that I've definitely noticed. I think often when I say I try to live a zero waste lifestyle, people must think I'm really not into stuff and I'm a complete minimalist. Guys, I'm really not a minimalist. I'm a bit messy, although I don't think we have a lot of stuff, but this project really highlighted that anything you do have, just make sure it's something that you actually really need and that you're going to use regularly, and place a value in it so that you look after it. And I think that's something that's really important to remember. I think my granny still uses items from like 30 or 40 years ago. So that's it. I've had a great time doing this project, by the way, and it's been so interesting seeing how everyone else in our group has approached the project. Some people have like saved loads of money from changing to LED lights, which is great. Other people have totally learned new skills, and other people have just started recycling, which was a big deal for them. Thanks so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed sort of learning a little bit about the products that I chose and about living Lagom. Who knew that was a thing? If you really like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. If you only half liked it, I still think you should give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, then just give it a thumbs up. And you could subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. And why not watch another video? I mean, seriously, why the fudge not?